Hello everybody, welcome. And I'm delighted to be with you today. It's been quite a while, and so as always, I have to be honest that when I press that live button, it's always a little exciting, so to speak, because I never quite know exactly what I'm going to say. I've got an idea, and the subject of this video is about astrological cycles. So astrological cycles. As many of you I'm sure know, there are times to do things and times not to do things. There are times when it's great to go out and be social, and there are times when it's good to be peaceful and be quiet. There are times when it's good to pursue new projects, and times when it's just good to be completing things that you've already put in motion. So I'm doing something new in the flavour of this new moon in Aries that we are just having or under the influence of. And right now we are in between the energies of Aries and Libra. And I'm trying to adjust my screen here so that I can see what I'm doing a little more clearly. There we are. Thank you for being patient with me. Aries is not the best sign for patience. So, you're commenting I've got a deeper voice. I think it's just a bit nasally. I took an airplane, and sometimes on airplanes there are all kinds of things floating around that you can't see. So, let's look at these cycles, because they're really, really important. The one that you're going to all be very familiar with is your birthday cycle, which is when the Earth orbits the Sun about every 365 days, which is a year. So once a year you get your birthday, and that is a cycle of the Sun. Then we've got the cycle of the Moon. And the cycle of the Moon orbits the Earth just under every 28 days. So we've got the Sun cycle and the Moon cycle. Of course, the Moon cycle split into the new moon and the full moon, which I always talk about every couple of weeks, which affect us greatly, health-wise, emotionally, mentally, your concentration. And if you can learn to work with the astrological frequencies, then you can make your life a whole lot easier. Not only easier, but easier on the people around you, easier on your environment. And the easier that you make it on other people, the softer things become. They're not quite so harsh, they're not quite so jagged. Then of course we've got the Mercury cycle. Mercury retrograde, of course, happening every 3 to 4 times a year. And Mercury orbiting the Sun about every 88 days. So every 88 days you've got a Mercury cycle, when Mercury comes to your place of birth. And that can trigger something to do with communications, with a contract, with learning something. Then you've got a Venus cycle. You see each of the planets, and as we move further out, these cycles get longer. So the Venus cycle goes around the sun in about 225 days. So every 225 days you get a Venus return. And a Venus return can bring good fortune, can bring romance, can bring some good news, can beautify your life, enhance your life in some way. Can certainly bring some money and something financially fortunate. So all these cycles, some of them really short. The moon cycle, the moon goes around your chart every month. It stays in a house roughly every couple of days, 2.5, 3 days. And it's really useful to know what's happening with these cycles. A Saturn cycle, for example, some of you, if you're less than 28 years old and you're listening, you haven't had a Saturn cycle yet. Because your first Saturn return happens when you're about 28 to 30. It's the first time it happens. And that's when very often somebody becomes an adult. Somebody feels as though you are growing up. Sometimes it can be a challenging time. Sometimes you get married. You move to a new career. You change location, home. All kinds of big things that often happen around Saturn cycles. Now Saturn will square your natal sun every 7 years. So we've got the ages of 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42 is a big one. So all these ages correspond to a certain astrological cycle. And knowing where it is in your chart and what's happening and why can help you navigate this cycle, can help you understand what the heck is going on. Sometimes you might not understand it at the time, but with the help of astrology, you can often begin to get a bigger picture afterwards and work through it, and then begin to help other people to work through their things more easily. So, there's a lot to this. A Jupiter cycle. Jupiter changes sign every year. But every 12 years, you get a Jupiter return. Now, Jupiter's the planet of good fortune, abundance, growth, learning, wisdom, truth. And it's what stretches you. So sometimes people say, oh, my Jupiter return was quite difficult. Sometimes it is if you've been staying in a real comfort zone for a while. But it offers you this opportunity to go beyond, to see your life from a new perspective. So there's a lot to talk about here, and I'm going to now bring it in so that we'll make it more personal to you about what's happening now and over the next couple of weeks in the heavens, yeah? Because these cycles are big, and I'm going to do teaching videos about them for those of you that are interested. Now, just as an interaction, Aries new moon, it's really important. That's a great question, Heather. I'm going to answer that. Great one. How do these astrological energies, influences, work with our free will and our soul path? That's a very deep question. Well, as far as I'm concerned, and this is just my personal opinion about this as an astrologer, you have free will over and above necessarily certain astrological influences, right? You have free will to say, during a Mercury retrograde, I'm going to sign that contract for this new job because it feels right to me, and I'm going with what I feel is in my heart, and I'm trusting it. And you may override the fact that Mercury is retrograde, it's squaring your Sun, it's opposite your Mars, it's making a lot of difficult aspects. But you go into the depths of your soul, saying that I'll take whatever the consequences are, and I'm going to go with that. So I think by free will, you can override those aspects and just know that there may be certain challenging consequences sometimes, and sometimes not. Once again, I truly believe that eventually, although I haven't seen this very often in my career as an astrologer, if at all, completely, but somebody who is a highly evolved being may be able to completely transcend the pull of the karma, the karmic patterns and archetypes in the chart. I think that that is possible and is doable. Easy no, doable yes. But I'm reminded that when you're going uphill, it's more difficult. You're pedaling on your bike and you're going uphill. That's as if you've not got an electric bike these days. But you're pedaling and it's harder. You're having to put effort in. But when you're putting effort in, you're actually going uphill. You're going upwards. And when you release and let go, and you go, whee, you're actually going down. When it's easy, 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 easy. That's why it's always great when I see people who've got lots of difficult aspects in their charts, lots of squares and quincunxes and oppositions. Because then they're going to be really motivated to push that bike, to get some muscle. Often when I see people with super easy charts, easy so-called, not that anything is super easy, they don't necessarily feel motivated to push themselves. And then often it's external events that really sometimes cause a wake-up call, and hard aspects appear in relation to the easy aspects in the natal chart. So, gosh, lots of great questions here. Could you put these questions, MoJoshi100, could you put that question on my community page or email it to me, please? And Nancy Rodriguez, same thing. Send these questions to me. These are great. I'm going to say Nancy's here. How is it each planet brings specific characteristics and events? Well, that's a deep question, and thank you for that. It's the short answer is that if you study each planet in terms of its energetic frequency, for example, Uranus is the planet of surprise. Herschel founded Uranus and he didn't expect to. It was all unexpected. And Uranus is something that's the energy of electricity, the internet, communities, groups coming together, individuality. As you begin to learn the archetypes, the actual deep characteristics of each planet, as you begin to absorb that almost into your being, Saturn is the more serious planet. Saturn is your structure and what you're here to learn and all those kinds of things. And so as you really get into the meat of what the planets mean, and I'll do some videos about that if there's a deep interest in it. And I'll also do maybe some webinars about it. For those of you who are interested, I'll do some live stream webinars or something like that, where we can really go more deeply into this, and you can look at your own charts and see if you can deeply understand what the planets are saying to you. So, back to now what's happening here and now. Full moon Aries. Yesterday, today, depending where you live. In between two Libra new moon Aries, excuse me, in between 2 Libra full moons. One that we had a couple weeks ago, and 2 weeks away is another Libra full moon. Very unusual to get 2 full moons in the same sign. One was at 0 degrees Libra, and the one in 2 weeks' time is at 29 degrees of Libra. So, what does this mean? By the way, do not think for 1 minute that if you are not a Libra or an Aries, that this does not apply to you. Somewhere in your chart, no matter who you are, where you were born, what time, what place, you have got Libra and Aries in your chart, activated somewhere at this time. Okay? Some of you may know it, most of you probably don't. That's okay. I'm going to give you some general information that I hope will resonate for you. So let's look at what this energy that's so prevalent right now in the heavens of this Aries Libra energy that the moon is bringing. So the Aries energy is saying, hey, take action. Do something. I often find myself before doing a live stream procrastinating. I think I'll do the ironing. Just a minute, I think the kitchen needs cleaning. Oh, hang on a minute, yes, I need to respond to that email. Oh yes, I think I'll go and feed the kittens. It's a bad day, it's raining today, and they're probably all hungry on the beach. I better go and feed them. Yeah, and it's like, oh, prolonging instead of just doing. So the energy of Aries right now, and we're in Aries time during April, until around April the 21st or so, until we begin to move into the Taurian energy. But right now, Aries energy, guys, is about doing something. Doing it. Thank you very, very much, HS. Appreciate your generosity. What are you putting off that you know you either want to do, need to do, all those things? Do it. Okay? I've been putting off running a seminar. I really want to run a seminar. Yes, it's a lot of work. It's a huge amount of work. And at the same time, I really want to do it. Why? Well, let's see how many of you are interested. But what I want to do, and I'm planning, is a seminar all about the next decade, 2020 to 2030. Because we're coming into a new decade. And it's powerful. And it's strong. And it affects us globally. And it also affects us, thank you for being interested, for those of you that are. And it affects us deeply personally. And 2020, on January the 12th of 2020, is a huge seismic shift on the planet. It's massive. Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, all coming together. Jupiter going into Capricorn, Saturn and Pluto together. It's a huge, and then at the end of the year we get another huge event with things moving into Aquarius. So I'm working on this. I'll be doing a lot of work, and towards the end of October I think I'm ready to do this. So we're looking at doing something in person for those of you that are ready to come to Greece. Thank you very much, Apothecary Arts, for your generosity. So I'm thinking of doing it in Greece, in glorious Greece, when it'll still be beautiful. So for those of you who are thinking of a little break and thinking of coming to the land of astrology, of divination, and would love to come to Greece and experience the energies here, that's when I'm planning to do this power seminar. I'll bring in the Pleiadians as well. So we'll have some channeling. We'll be making it personal, but we'll also be looking at what's on the table for this next decade, and how can we prepare, and how can we work together fruitfully. So that's what I'm going to be exploring. And that's the Aries energy, saying, right, I'm going to do it now. I'm doing it. I'm taking action. So I'm glad you're dreaming of Greece. Yes, begin saving. The advantage about Greece is, dear Greece, is it's very inexpensive here. Of all the places you could come to in Europe, it's one of the most inexpensive places. So once you get here, the food is not very costly, the accommodation is not too bad, and certainly shouldn't be too bad by the time I'm going to do the seminar. So, the energy of the Aries, what have you done, are you doing that is brave? A lot we hear about now is, oh, I'm afraid of doing this and I'm afraid of that. And I noticed that in myself. Oh, I'm afraid of pressing that live button. Ah, yes. Instead of saying, hey, I'm courageous. I'm going to step out and I'm going to enjoy being with you. And I do. Once I do it, I love it. So what's stopping you? What action are you taking? There we go. Lais, study to be a judge. Great. Do it. Let's share. Let's inspire one another. On the live stream together, if you can, in the comments. Say what new thing you've embarked upon. What risk you've taken. The courage that you're showing. Could be in a relationship. Could be financially. Yes, Nancy, the Pleiadians will be part of the trip. Yes, they won't miss it. They won't miss it, I'm afraid. Madalena, to study to be a vet. Great. Take an action between now and April 20th. Writing your book, Anita. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Let's inspire. Because once one does it, we are really amazing imitators. Right? Sobriety, fantastic. Almost 2 years, fantastic, Alicia. Right? Okay, you're afraid of leaving your job, Debbie? How about being courageous and finding a new job? Barista course, Catherine. Yeah, coming in. Junior Fuentes, starting your own business. Flower Child, trying to be authentic? Be authentic. All right, no more trying. Yes. Okay. Evil de Bono, coming out the weirdo, all right? Okay, you're intuitive and talking to the dead. Great. Michelle, doing your English course. What are you going to do? Really say it. When you state it and you say it, the word becomes flesh. It's super powerful. Cheers. So, that's the Aries part. Great, Ahmad, you're going to start a pet grooming, and you never had a pet. Opening to your powers, Marcia, great. Posting videos of you channeling, thank you, Channeling Science. Starting your Forex trading professionally, Amitabha, thank you. Great. Ines is going to draw some weird new pictures. France Tellier is going to learn Spanish and go out more. What are you going to do? Joanna, pet portraits. Okay, great. When you speak it and when you write it, then your next step is to, Karen is going to publish her journal and make some more money in her work. What's the action? What's the one action? To be brave in making sales calls. Great, Annie. Yeah? Great. Make sure you're taking at least one action, because Aries is about taking action. It's not like Libra, because that's the issue we've got going on. Got these 2 full moons in Libra on the outside, right? And we've got this full moon in Libra coming up in a couple weeks' time. So Libra is all about finding equilibrium. Libra will be the part of you that says, yes, here now wants to find his inner clown. What are you going to do about that? What jokes are you going to tell? Okay. So the Libra is the part of you that's undecided. The part that says, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I should leave my job of 15 years. You know, it's quite stable. I'm not sure if I should leave this relationship. I'm not sure if this is a good time to move home. Yeah, the part of you that goes through this indecision. And the Aries cuts through it. I've got a great Aries rising friend. I'm a Libra myself, Libra sun. And I've got an Aries rising great friend who just cuts through it. She just says, are you doing it? Yeah? And it's like, oh, okay. That wakes the Libra up. Now the Libra is very useful in terms of reining the Aries in, because sometimes Aries can be too pushy. You know what it's like if you really want a relationship with someone and you push and they're not responding. Sometimes that drives them further away. Sometimes you have to know when to back off and to come into balance. To come into balance. So Libra is asking you, how can you find a balance in your life? Hey Stormy, welcome. Yeah? How can you find the balance? Where is that delicate balance between taking action and saying, I've had it with all these opinions and influences of other people? Because Libra is always worried about, do you like me? Do you love me? Are you sure you love me? Are you really, really sure? Yeah? And Aries could give a monkeys. So you're dealing with these polarities. And Libra is encouraging you to get back into the balance and at the same time to keep taking those personal risks and to be brave. So the full moon in Libra is for sure going to highlight your relationships. Libra is about relationships. Now, you've got relationships with other people. Things can come to a head during this full moon time where you really begin to see what's going on. And it may not be to your liking initially. You might say, didn't realize that that's what was going on in this relationship. However, it will give you an opportunity. Once you see something, you can make some changes. But if all you've got are emotions that are rumbling in you of dissatisfaction, of complaining, and all that, you can't make the changes. So the full moon may help you to initiate positive change in a relationship, or maybe to complete it. So you're dealing with relationships and the balance, the fine balance between how much am I listening to somebody else in my life and how much Aries energy am I listening to me. And there's always a fine balance going on. And that's what we're dealing with here. So what the Libra energy always looks for peace and harmony. At all costs, there's this deep desire for peace and harmony. But sometimes peace and harmony is too quiet. Yes, things are peaceful, they're harmonious, la 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 la. Yeah, you know when you hear a piece of music and it is so peaceful, sometimes you just go to sleep. It's that kind of peaceful, wistful music. But if all of a sudden in the middle there's like a yes, something, the horns go or the trumpets go, there's a trumpet call, you're suddenly woken up into life. So the way I see the Aries energy is that it can be very inspirational. Suddenly you get an inspiration and you're going and you're moving. And then the Libra part of you shares it. The Libra is the part of you, the balance that wants to say, hey, look, I did this. Do you want to look at my paintings? Would you like to hear my music? What is it I can share with you? So that's what you're balancing here. And then we'll be moving into Taurus. Then we'll have a new moon in Taurus, and then that's a whole other story. And don't forget, as I said, somewhere in your chart, you have got all of these signs. So I'll be doing more videos, more live streams for those of you that are interested, and a seminar actually live in person later this year. Those are the things that I am doing. And I'll take a couple of questions. If there's any questions right here, right now, that you've got, astrologically, generally, whatever, I'll take those. And I know there's a little delay here sometimes between what I say and what you hear. So I'm going to sit here patiently and see if there are any questions. Thank you. You'd like more live feeds. What do I think of Capricorns? Well, it's really, one should not generalize too much. However, there are archetypes of each sign. When is the next big shift? Lily, that's great. The archetypes of each sign. Lily, keep that question for me. I must remember it because the feed goes through very quickly. But Capricorn generally is often responsible. The archetype of a Capricorn is responsible, serious, learning, likes to be in charge, and likes a plan. The next big shift. Well, there are always shifts happening, Lily, as I'm sure you're aware. But astrologically, there's a huge shift happening at the beginning of 2020. Huge, huge. There are big eclipses happening in July time of this year and in December time of this year, and Jupiter changing sign at the end of the year. So there's a lot there. Can we meditate for 3 minutes transmitting love? Well, we can certainly do that. Yeah, let's do that. We don't have to be quiet doing it. Where in Greece would the seminar be? I'm planning to have it in Athens, simply because it's the easiest place to travel to and get to. And what can you do to prepare? Begin to tune in more to your intuition. Tuning into your divine guidance. Each person has, I'm learning that more and more, individual divine guidance that's just for you. It's just written for you. And to begin to tune into that more. The story of the Pleiadians. Well, I'm not quite sure, Sandara, whether you want the story of how I came to channel the Pleiadians myself, or whether you're asking a wider question. What I can tell you is that the Seven Sisters is a constellation that is found in the sign of late Taurus. So the Pleiadians are coming up for a birthday soon. That I can tell you. And they'll certainly let you know about it through me. They're getting very excited. Do I work with any other star races? I don't know, is the honest answer to that. The only ones that have made it absolutely clear to me that it's them are the Pleiadians. So, thank you very, very much for all your questions and your interest and for being live with me. It's a great delight for me to be with you. The nodes I'm going to cover, thank you Ahmed for, there's more questions coming in, so I'll take another one or two. Cusps. Yes, the cusps. I've done a short video on cusps many, many years ago, but I will make a note to do another one on cusps. Do they guide me and speak to me every day? Oh yes, they do, yes. Do I listen? Not necessarily, but I try. So, how do you connect more with your Pleiadian family? I would just say ask and have no expectations and don't look. I mean, that's the hardest thing to do. Ask and don't look for it. I don't know how else to say it, because the minute you start looking for something, it's a bit like when you're looking for your keys and you can't find them. It's like you can't find them. And then all of a sudden you let it go, and then you find them in an unlikely place. That's really how the channeling, in my experience, seems to work. And I will, if for those of you who are interested, do some live streams and videos about the channeling. And as I learn more about it, I'm very, very happy to begin to share that with you as well. So, I want to thank you very, very much for being with me today. And I'm sending you much love all the way from Athens, Greece. Bye for now.